Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Let's Talk About Contributing live stream. I started earlier because I haven't done it for a while. So I joined earlier because I wanna check out all the settings to see how everything works. Bear with me. In the meantime, please say something in the chat that you're already here, that you arrived. And in the meantime, I'm gonna check how can I adjust the settings on YouTube. Live. So the live is happening now. Oh, thank you, Maciej. Cześć, Maciusiu. First person. Hello. So at least one person is gonna watch it. Or are you here because you're just nice? Which I doubt. I guess you're here because you want to learn something about CI and CD. In the meantime, let's check the customizations. So I'm checking now how to enable the if I already started the live stream, is it possible to enable the live transcription? Yeah. CD, it's a old version of DVD. Um, so how to do it? Subtitles and screen cards. Show more. Automatic chapters, whatever that is. Oh, so looks like. Okay, so I think that what Fran showed me about the live transcript is actually something that you can only do before the live stream starts, which is interesting. If there's any expert that could give me some hints, please write in the chat. Restrictions, subtitles. Okay, so I can edit live stream, but maybe there's something more I can do to it. View in live control room. Okay. Okay, so I'm in so-called live controls, live control room, stream settings. Again, bear with me. I need to check Maple request. By the way, thank you, Fran, for helping me in a PR by sending me instructions that show YouTube with Spanish language on. Okay. So I can enable. I think there's something like called like closed captions. I guess that's it. But the problem is that's the only setting that is disabled for me, which is really, really sad. Okay, so he did start a stream up front. Okay, then yeah, looks like it's not possible if I already started the live stream, which is which is pretty sad. Which is pretty sad. So yeah, huge apologize to those that counted on subtitles like captions, translation, whatever the name is. Unfortunately, I mean, this option is not available when I started immediately. So yeah, let's then start the meeting. So it's 5 minutes past. I have a huge presentation ready, like at least 100 slides. So we're gonna be here like for next 3 hours. Enjoy. Actually, not, but still, I think I'm gonna talk a lot. But I have the chat visible. So I'm gonna see when you're having some questions. But yeah, basically, yeah, kicking off the meeting. It's a live stream called "Let's Talk About Contributing." It's a live stream we started August last year. Then there were many episodes throughout September, October. But then, yeah, November was a conference. Then December was holidays, and then New Year kicked in with many different topics that blocked basically the stream from happening. But it's about time to start doing them more regularly. So the live streams are designed for contributors, especially those that never contributed to the project before, and want to learn something. And yeah, the best way of sharing knowledge is not just with one person on some private meeting, but better do it as a live stream that you can ask questions during, or you can just watch later. So yeah, that's the plan for the live stream. And today's episode is about continuous integration, continuous delivery at AsyncAPI. So there are two main reasons we're having this topic. One is because there's one code generator that we recently accepted for AsyncAPI organization, and it generates C# application as far as I remember. And yeah, we need to enable CI/CD there. But the person that donated the project, it's someone new to the project, doesn't know how our CI/CD works. So one thing is that I want to have this live stream so later I can share with the maintainer, so he knows what he will accept um, from our side when he decides that he doesn't want to do CI on his own, but just take ours. And the second reason for the live stream is that I'm going to explain something that is basically not documented. Like the topics that I will cover, we have like 5% of documentation, I think, or 3%. Um, so I will explain how things work. And if there's anyone who's eager to contribute documentation to an open source project, just please use this video as a documentation input, so-called documentation input. So if you're new to tech writing, one of the best ways to write document is to first gather knowledge that you want to describe. You can gather it like asking someone to send you an email or replying an issue, or basically in written form. But what you will learn over years is that the best way of getting technical input from some subject matter expert, and one of the best ways is to do it is to have verbal interview which you can record, and then you can grab information from the recording. But yeah, enough talking. Enough talking. 5 minutes intro is pretty long. So yeah, let me share my screen. In the meantime, if someone new joined the live stream, please say hi in the chat so I know there are humans and not just Mate. And please say hi. And screen sharing. I'm gonna share entire screen, I think. Let's see how that goes. And the live stream, I'm gonna move it to the other screen. So again, bear with me, because then I won't be able. I need to see what you see, basically. As simple as that. Okay. So I think it looks good. Let me go into slideshow. Boom, 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 boom. Can you confirm in a chat that you can see it well? Yeah, of course we have 15 seconds delay because Poland is pretty far in another universe, so it takes time for the signal to get to the Earth. And when I'm asking you if you can confirm that you can see the screen, you should not nod your head, but just write in the chat. Okay, thanks, Mohammed. Perfect. So, welcome to the amazing AsyncAPI presentation about CI/CD setup. And the title is How It Works and How to Document It. Because, for open source project, you need to have documentation not only for the project that you build, for the product, for the tools, but you also need to have pretty good contributors documentation. So you don't have to, again, explain everything how it works, but you can just send people to documentation and then they can ask you just for follow-up questions. On the right-hand side of the slide, at least for me, it's on the right-hand side, you can see mascots that probably will not make it into the new AsyncAPI mascots. But I just want to shout out to the world, yes, Missy and others, these are the ones that I prefer more than the others. And that's it. That's all I wanted to say about the mascots. So yeah, key facts. First of all, I broke the animation on the slide. You should not see the last point of the presentation, definitely. Good for me. So I'm gonna skip the last point. Let's talk about the first one, like key fact about continuous integration and continuous delivery at AsyncAPI. So the whole automation is 100% based on GitHub Actions. We started using it 2 years 2 years ago. Yeah, it's gonna be 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, exactly. April was the first release pipeline done with GitHub Actions by me 2 years ago. So we are using GitHub Actions only. There was Travis used before, but we got rid of it because, like seriously, the only way you should do CI/CD at GitHub is with GitHub Actions. Period. GitHub Actions, if you don't know how it works, like basically you have two ways of handling software. You can configure it in its UI, but then you have issues because you have to have designers, UX experts, developer experience experts that will design UI in a way that people will like it. And you have also an approach called config as code. So basically, the whole configuration of the CI is based on files. So you in GitHub repository you have .github slash workflows directory where you put YAML files that you use to configure the pipelines, the workflows. Because in Jenkins people use to talk about pipelines. Here we talk about workflows. Potato, potato. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, it works this way that you configure everything as a file created in the repo through a pull request, so you can basically track every change. So config as code, then you have code as code, so JavaScript files also in the repo, and doc as code. Everything is as code. The main maintainers of the CI at the moment. So people who, I mean, main maintainers. So people who basically add most of the workflows and maintain changes, improvements in the workflows. So it's me, and luckily I'm not alone. There's a lot of help that Kuda did in the setup. A lot of improvements of the work that I did 2 years ago. So whenever you will have some questions and you're again looking for SME, then go to Tools channel, but also try to call out directly me or Kuda. Now, the main repository where all the workflows are located is .github. So yes, when you go to AsyncAPI organization at GitHub, you go to .github repository where you can find all the workflows, like all the main workflows. Let's say I'm gonna explain to you later what it means, main global workflows. But yeah, basically, when I'm saying Łukasz and Kuda are main maintainers, it's because they are main code owners for .github repo. Now, if you're our Slack user, you should definitely be aware of this special channel where we CI maintainers look from time to time and see if there are any failures in the CI, and notification about these failures should go to this dedicated Slack channel. But you can also join and see what's happening in the system. And last but not least, the bullet point that showed up at the beginning is like GitHub Actions is the main tool that we use for CI/CD, but also a lot of automation is how to say it in English. I think you say it. Maciej, by the way, you can help me out in the chat. Uzupełnić. That's how we say it in Polish, but in English, I think it's substructs, not subjects. No, it's there's this word. I don't remember this word, but let me try explain using different words. So basically, all the job is done by GitHub Actions, but GitHub Actions is just a tool that you configure to execute step A, step B, step C. But sometimes you have to figure out, like if you want to do step B and release something, or you don't want to do step B because the commit is not related to a release. So you need some way to figure out sometimes on the commit message, like what change is doing to the system. And that's why we have this conventional commits here mentioned, and semantic release. So basically, conventional commits is something that we also have as a standard in AsyncAPI organization. So it's a spec that describe how should you name your commit messages, pull request titles for us. So later on in CI/CD, we can figure out if the change, for example, is just to do in the documentation, or the change maybe should trigger a major release. So that's if you're already contributing to the project, you probably noticed these prefixes for the PR titles, like docs colon or feed colon. So that's what conventional commit specification describes. And semantic release, it's a JavaScript or TypeScript that is getting trendy package on npm that basically implements or supports, however we say it, features described in conventional commits. So you just plug in this package to your pipelines, and you can configure some actions to the especially to the release process. That's why it's called semantic release. So that's the key facts, key standards about the CI/CD. Now, I'd like to do a shout out to the top performers of the work related to CI/CD, because I said that, of course, like me and Kuda, we're the main maintainers, but there's also a lot of work done by AsyncAPI bot, also known as AsyncAPI bot Chan. But we or me were afraid to change the name of the bot to AsyncAPI bot Chan, because if you're experienced enough, you know that in tech it works this way, that if something works, you don't touch it because you don't want to figure out what's going to get broken after modifying something. And the other bot that joined recently, Chan, is Eve. And she's new. I think she works in the project for like 2 months or so. So Chan did most of the job for last 2 years, but Eve is helping out a lot. And her bio is pretty clear, and pretty much summarizes why we actually have CI/CD pipeline at AsyncAPI. So now there are different workflow types. I call them global, but we call them global, like me and Kuda call them global. But if you, for example, will start contributing docs and you figure out better name, if you don't know it, Async API community is pretty flexible if it comes to you suggesting changes and we applying them. But yeah, for now we call these workflows global. So these the global workflows are located in a GitHub repo in our organization, and all these global workflows are located, of course, in this GitHub Actions directory, which is .github/workflows. And there are also local workflows, which are located in a specific repo. So let's say global are in .github repo, but local, what I mean is, for example, we have Generator, which is a tool that has a need to have some specific workflows, and they're located. These workflows are located directly in this repository, in this specific repo, but in the same directory. Now, what does it mean? Like, what's the difference, really? So I hope this is readable. So basically on the left, you have a screenshot from GitHub/workflows directory on .github repo. And on the right-hand side, you have a screenshot from Generator repo from the same directory, .github/workflows. So you can already see that the names of the files are pretty much the same, like good first issue label, add good first issue labels, add good first issue labels. So there's a lot of the application, but there are also some tiny details. So for example, here you can see PR testing with test project. So for example, Generator is a pretty complex tool that needs to be well tested. So the default testing pipeline is not enough. There has to be a dedicated special testing pipeline, additional testing pipeline on the pull request to make sure that the project is passing in the right way. So to summarize, global things that are in .github repo, these global things are replicated to all the different repositories in the organization. But it doesn't mean that you can only use the specific workflows, and you always have to add these workflows, all the workflows to .github repo. Sometimes when you have some specific things only for your repository, only for your project, you put them directly in your repo, and then you don't have to go through um, ugly reviews with me and Kuda, but you can just do the reviews with your maintainers from your project. Yeah. The question is in the chat: can the screen be zoomed? Unfortunately, that's the max. But don't worry, I'm gonna explain also in practice. But anyway, there's some. I just want to highlight one file that we are gonna talk about later anyway. But in .github repo, we also have this special file that you're gonna find only there in this repo, which is called global replicator. No, so small question, like, are there in the chat any fans of Stargate? And I mainly mean not the movie, but the TV series Stargate SG-1. Please confirm that there's at least one person that knows what I'm talking about. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Anyone? Please? No? Okay, so I don't see we're gonna have any connection here, if you, folks. But yeah, anyway, so Stargate SG-1, it's a pretty good series. Old, but legit. I recommend. Never got the chance. Yeah, you have to watch the series. Like, if you know MacGyver, he plays main character in Stargate SG-1, and he's hilarious there. He's even like, yeah, he's a masterpiece. And basically, one of the seasons is about aliens that are called replicators. So, but yeah, anyway, global replicator is not replicators from Stargate SG-1, but it's basically a workflow that handles this replication, or naming it in different way, like copying of or duplicating the files from .github repo to the rest of the repositories in the organization. Now, yes, global replicator. Let's go. Let's deep dive into it. So let's click on the link. And now you're gonna, maybe let's first respond to the question we had, like if we can make it bigger. Then so let's first show you in live again the list. Let's do quick magic. Da, 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 da. Wait. Pick and pick. Okay, and now let's make it bigger. Okay. So again, the same view that you could see on the previous slide. The difference is that the not GitHub repo is here and generator here. So yeah, you basically can see, right? You see the same name, the same name, like most of the, like even here, like all the workflows, they are the same. And that's what happens. That's why we keep everything in .github. So we just do things once in one repo, and then they're pushed out to all the other repos. Because like we have almost 50 repositories. Like, can you imagine changing something in a pipeline and doing it every time in 50 repos? Like, no way. But yeah, I think you get the point. But again, if we're here already, I'm going to show you. So in generator, there's this, for example, this specific PR testing with test project. So it's pretty custom workflow for designed for pull requests, and it's only triggering a special test project. So you can imagine that if something is super specific for generator, nobody's gonna push this workflow to .github, because there's no point to push this workflow to the rest of the organization. Okay, so let me go large again. And I promised global replicator. So global workflow to rule them all. Its purpose is to push out, like at the beginning, its purpose was to just push out workflows, GitHub actions to all the repos. But then I think Jonas was the one that first said, like, if we can save time by replicating the GitHub actions, why not try to do the same with other files like code of conduct or contributor MD? Because these files are also the same for all the projects. So it would be nice to just edit them in one place, which is .github repo, and then push to all other repositories. So that's what we have here. So we have a special workflow that depending on the changes is, like, say, for example, this step of the workflow. Basically what it does is, if if there was a change introduced in code of conduct, then it will be pushed out to all the repositories. The only repositories that will be ignored are these, because they are not, this is old legacy, but we just can't remove it yet. And this is a template that should definitely not have a code of conduct. This step is pushing out always up-to-date code of conduct to all the repos. This step is doing the same, but for the contributing MD. But you can see that we ignore more repositories because there are sometimes exceptions. Like Modelina has some exceptional contributor guide, because there's this concept of champions of different code generators. Or you can see, for example, the spec. So the spec repository also has a bit different contributing MD. Actually, not a bit. It's like completely different contributing MD, because the spec is pretty special. But I think you're getting the point. So and then this global workflow is also pushing other things out. So for example, let's say, Node.js. So we have a set of workflows that are designed specifically for Node.js projects. So these workflows are listed here, and they go only to the repositories that have Node.js topic. If you don't know, like in GitHub, when you have repositories, you can put a kind of like tags, like topics on repositories, so they are it's better to search for them. And there are some kind of generic workflows that are pushed out everywhere, again, except of these two special repos, etc., etc. So we can basically, now at the moment, we have a way to duplicate whatever file we want across the whole organization in all the repositories. So yeah, so far so good. Any questions? And in the meantime, I'm gonna drink some water because I feel my throat is getting sore. So far so good. Also, don't be afraid to ask questions in the like in the middle when I'm explaining something. It's okay. I can do breaks and explain things more. For me, the most important is to share as much information as possible during this live stream. So better if you ask questions now, but of course, I can imagine that if you didn't use GitHub Actions before, and these things are new to you, then you probably don't also know what to ask about. So yeah, whatever makes you happy. I just noticed that I had new logo at the beginning, but I still use old logo in the slides. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's continue. Global workflows categories. Global workflows, again, the workflows that are in .github repo. Now, these categories, you're not going to find them anywhere. So I invented them 2 days ago when I started doing this presentation. Actually, this presentation triggered me to think about all these different things and feel sad about the fact that it's not documented anywhere. So whatever you're going to hear now, again, I invented these categories 2 days ago. I didn't even consult it with CUDA, if it makes sense. So definitely don't take this categorization as something for granted, like that it's written in stone and should be like this. Uh, they can be named totally different. Yeah. So first things first, release. So the first category is for releases. So um, um, that's what I mean by types of workflows. So we have workflows that basically handle release releases for Node.js projects. We don't have any global workflow for other programming languages, but it's mainly because we have mainly Node.js projects that we maintain here at AsyncAPI. Now, there's a category called PR quality. So there's actually five, I think. I wonder, bunch. When I say bunch, should it be five? Should it be 10 or 15? Okay, anyway. So PR quality. So on a pull request level, we are checking the title of your pull request. We're testing the pull request. So all in this category land all the workflows that are responsible for the quality of the pull request. Then PR merging is a set of workflows that are responsible for merging pull requests, because there's a lot of pull requests that are generated or come from bots. And if it comes from bots, the cool stuff and the biggest difference between humans and bots is that humans make mistakes and bots make only mistakes that human did while configuring the bot. But once the bot is configured properly, it doesn't make any mistakes. So the changes that bot is pushing to the repo should just be automatically approved by another bot, which is Eve in this case. So so PR merging, it's workflows that handle this automation of merging of bots or also human merging. PR updates, yeah, it's for updating the PR, basically the fork of the that where the PR is coming from. Dependencies management, that's a category that is responsible for workflows that do dependency management. So in Node.js, all packages are on npm. So and there's this dependency mechanism. So you have a package A that depends on package B, and in AsyncAPI we have like 50 repos. You can imagine dependency tree is pretty complex. So generator is using parser. So you can imagine, like, if we're having a lot of contributions and we're releasing parser quite often, then you always have to manually go to the generator and update the dependency. So we don't have this manual work. Everything is handled automatically. That's the category for notifications. That's a set of workflows that are responsible for sending notifications to Slack, Twitter, in future email. Help. We also use GitHub Actions for providing help in issues and pull requests. So you can basically go to an issue, do /help, comment, and send it. Or in PR, you can do /help, and then the bot will answer back with the help message and will tell you what kind of different comments are available and bot understands. Issues governance. So yeah, there's some governance needed for the issues, like if they're getting stale or not. So that's what we use GitHub Actions for as well. Project governance, that's pretty specific. But yeah, if we can use GitHub Actions basically for anything, why not to handle the whole project governance with GitHub Actions? And cron expressions is something that you use to describe a um, like when something should happen exactly, if it should happen every day, every week, every Monday, every 2 hours, or maybe once a week on Monday, etc., etc. So we sometimes have workflows that need to periodically be triggered by default, and that's what I call here a cron category, but it can also be called reoccurring or scheduled or whatever. Now, yeah, release. So there's just actually why I did animation here. Yeah. So we have two workflows for now that match the release. So it's if Node.js release file is describing a pretty, not so much complex, but I mean complex workflow, let's say, that handles like testing and then publishing of the package and then doing some other stuff. So if you're having a Node.js project, you join AsyncAPI with your project, or we build our some new Node.js project in the project. Doing automated releases is pretty simple because the workflow is already there. It's generic. You just have to get it in your repo um, and um, and install some software. But yeah, later about it. And the other workflow, if Node.js version bump, this one is responsible for bumping the version. So in Node.js, you have package.json. In package.json, you have version of the library. So we have dedicated workflow that after we release the package, the workflow bumps the version in the file, in the package.json file, and push it to the repo. So yeah, so we always have the proper version in the package.json file in the master branch. Now PR quality, yeah, let's show them all. So the first one is if Docker PR testing. This workflow is responsible for triggering proper steps that will run your Docker building scripts on APR. So you know that whatever you're changing in the pull request is not breaking your Docker file. Yeah. If Go PR testing, this workflow is something that you get out of the box. As well, it's for testing testing Go projects. Oh, sorry. The if Node.js PR testing is a dedicated workflow for Node.js projects, again for testing. So you can imagine, like in Go, you have different commands like Go something, whatever that you trigger to run test. In Node.js, you most probably have npm test. So this specific scripts run in this workflow. That's why we have different workflows for different programming languages. Link check PR, so it's a pull request workflow that is checking markdown links if they're not broken in the pull request. And lint PR title is the mentioned here as a last one, but yeah, it's pretty crucial because it's checking if you have a title of the PR that follows conventional commits. It's pretty important workflow, and if it fails, it's blocking the pull request from merging. Now, PR merging, yeah, we have four four workflows, pretty complex names. Not sure if you already noticed, like we have no pattern if it comes to naming of these files. Yeah, that's what happens when you start doing CI/CD without a plan, as I did it. Auto merge for humans. All these workflows, these three workflows, are mainly focused on the auto merge process for humans, for maintainers. Um, so basically, just we just want to make sure that we're merging pull requests properly, and we're using pull request title in the commit message when we're merging pull request. In the past, many times it happened that we merged it, like the PR title was correct, but the commit message was not following the title, and yeah, then we had to do follow up pull requests, and it was not consistent. So that's now why now we have it automated in the way that we basically can do in the comment of the pull request. Once all the checks are green, all the approvals are in place, we just do slash RTM, which stands for ready to merge, and bot again doing the hard job of merging pull request. But thanks to it, pull request is always merged with the PR title, because again, bots don't make mistakes. Um, so all these three workflows are like focused on that. So the first one is managing the commands. So ready to merge or slash DNM. So do not merge, because sometimes we want to make sure that even though everything is approved, we don't want it to be merged. So we just do slash DNM, and bot will add do not merge label, and it won't be possible to merge the pull request. And it's mainly because like everyone can add comments, right, in the pull requests. So even though we know that, for example, pull requests should not be merged, some contributor that knows already how pipelines work might add this slash RTM comment. So yeah, we want to make sure that it doesn't happen. And the human merging is responsible for merging, and the remove ready to merge label, yeah, we have dedicated workflow that figures that like we did ready to merge, but let's say contributor committed something new to the repo, to the pull request, and we basically need to clear the whole agreement with the with for the merging. It's for the security reason, so the so some malicious code or something is not pushed to the repo. And last but not least, automerge.yaml. It's a file where workflow is described, the automated just for bots. So whenever bot creates pull request, it's automatically approved and merged thanks to this workflow. PR updates. Yeah, it's just one workflow. That's why I told you, like, these categories might not be the most perfect ones if there are categories that just have one file. But yeah, anyway, auto update, it's a workflow that is responsible for auto updating. So auto updating what? For us, standard across all the repositories is that we require that given pull request can be merged only if it's up to date with the target branch, with the master branch in our case. So if so basically we um, uh, if some other pull request was merged to the master, then your pull request is getting out of date. You have to update it with the latest master, because once you update it with the latest master, we run tests again. So it's pretty standard block that you do for your pull request to make sure that, like, okay, your tests are green, but there might be something that went into the pull request into the master branch, that even though your tests are green, but after you merge your pull request, something might fail. So yeah, we require this this pull request up to dateness, if it's possible to say like this, up to dateness with the master branch. And auto update, yeah, make sure that you don't have to remember that. Auto this merging master into your branch, and basically this workflow, if you make a comment slash AU, which is auto update, and then the bot will handle this automated update of the master branch into your fork. Dependencies, yeah, is it one? Yeah, again, just one bump. So that's, I think I already explained it. So there's just one workflow bump YAML, and there's an action that I wrote some time ago that is responsible. That basically, if you release a parser and it's released, then this workflow is triggered and checks if in async API there is a package that depends on the parser, and then it clones the parser, this dependent library, bumps parser to the latest version in this library, and then creates a pull request to the library to bump the version, and and then of course if the all the checks when go through, like tests are still passing with this update, then it's being merged. So we have pretty much automated not only release of a single package, but also the packages that depend on the main one. Category notifications, oh, five. So we have five workflows. First is this auto merging of bots. Sometimes there's a lot of it. Dependent bot, some other updates, workflows, replication. Sometimes they, even though everything is configured well, there are hiccups on the CI. There might be some timeout on testing, or website preview is not built in a given period of time, and then other checks, other CI workflows that depend on this failing workflows cause situation that they also cannot run, so things fail, and then basically pull requests that should be automatically merged cannot be merged. So then human has to go to retry or check like why it's failing. Maybe actually it's failing because the package that automatically should be updated is actually causing some failures. So there was a breaking change maybe, or there are some tests missing or whatever. So it's pretty crucial workflow. And whenever it detects that some pull request that was supposed to be merged is not merged, it drops an error to Slack to tell us that there are some issues. Now, issues, PRs, notifications, it's actually issues, PRs, discussions, notifications. So yeah, whenever there's some new issue, some new pull request, or some new discussion on GitHub, then we get a notification in Slack. Notify TSC members mentioned. So we have technical steering committee. We want to have an automated way of letting them know that they are needed to take a vote in GitHub. So at the moment, this workflow is whenever they are called out in comments, the team called TSC members is called out in the comments. The message in Slack drops, so they are aware that they need to vote. And this workflow needs some love. Maybe you want to contribute to CI/CD, then I can help you out, because we need to contribute additional feature, which is also sending email to the TSC members. Now, release announcements is like, whenever there's a release happening, we announce it on Slack and Twitter. So it's, again, automated. And welcome first-time contributor. So you probably noticed if you contributed for the first time, there was a bot saying hello. And now the important question, like to all people that are here and remember this hello message from the bot, if you didn't read it, then nothing bad happens. I actually imagine that some people don't read messages from bots, but if you did read it, then it means it's important. And then it means we need to update it, because I think it would be very useful to mention in the welcome message to the user, to the contributor, that there is this /help message possible in the system. So might be useful to update this workflow with a proper message or more sophisticated, detailed message. Category help, yeah, one workflow, and it's basically a workflow that listens to all the comments in issues and PRs, and if there's slash RTM or slash DNM or slash AU, yeah, it does what's needed. Or actually, no. Wait. Command is go back. It's not actually reacting to RTM. Help command workflow is actually handling a slash help comment. So when you ask the bot to give you help in the issue or ask the bot to give you help in the PR, this workflow handles bot reply to issue or the PR. So it basically informs you what comments you have available. Issues governance, yeah, two workflows, add good first issue label. So yeah, Kuda did it some time ago. It's pretty nifty. So if we have a issue that is good first issue, instead of just going to labels, selecting good first issue, you can just use command. It's slash gfi, which is good first issue, and then programming language. Then the workflow will add these labels to the issue. So good first issue, and also the information about the area related for a given issue. So if it's CI/CD or maybe docs or maybe JavaScript. And the purpose is that long term, we in the website we will have a dashboard of these good first issues, so it's easier to pick up for you folks. And state issues is and PRs. It's a workflow that every puts a bot message in an issue if after 180 days, I think, nobody took any action in the issue, and reminds that, like, if again next 180 days nothing happens, then the pull request or issue will be closed automatically. It's pretty important workflow. Not sure how other maintainers, but I depend on it a lot, and every week I get some notifications that some issue is there, no action taken, and I have a look. I check if it's still valid or not. Sometimes I figure out that actually PR is already implemented. So it's pretty useful governance related, like cleanup related workflow. Project governance, yeah, it's pretty special one because nobody knows about it. Only I know. So it's an experiment. It's an experiment. Some time ago, I wrote a GitHub action that is able to consume consume a string and talk to use some npm library, but also instead of npm library, I'm actually using there a Google service that is checking sentiments of a message written in a string. So we can already imagine, so that's it's super important experiment related to project governance. So we want to have some automated way to figure out that there are some comments or in pull requests or issues that do not follow code of conduct, basically are rude or offensive to other community members. And why nobody yet knows about this is, yeah, I can actually show you. So uh, it's complicated to share my but there's basically a it's not a secret, there is a secret channel that only I have access to. It's in AsyncAPI workspace, and for example, yesterday it reported my comment as offensive. But as you can already see, why it's hidden, why it's still experiment, is because this Google service is not the best one to use. I plan at some time to switch to Microsoft service that is more sophisticated. It's like you see the problem. First of all, this AI from Google doesn't know emojis and doesn't get the context. So when we call sentiment analysis, we do not pass the whole issue to it. We just pass this. So it basically the AI that is there has no idea about the whole conversation we had, like how relaxed we were, and nobody offended anyone. It just saw three words, and one of them was annoying, which is you can imagine it's not the nicest word if you use it in a sentence that is without emojis, and you can, for example, say that the work you're doing is annoying, which is already not the most appropriate tone in the message. So yeah, if you're interested more in this concept, do let me know. How to slideshow? Okay, so yeah, that's why it's still hidden. It's experimental because, to be honest, luckily we have super cool community. I don't recall I don't recall even one comment that was offensive or really not appropriate. But yeah, we need a better tool basically. And last but not least is cron category. Link check cron. So it's a workflow that triggers once a week to check if there are some broken links in the repositories. Because even though we're checking it on the PR, but you can imagine that if we're linking to some external resource, even though we're not modifying the link, it can point to a resource that is being removed, and then the link is broken. We need to know about it. And if there are broken links, we of course send them to Slack, to the CI failing channel. Now it's 6, so 1 hour passed. I will understand definitely if you have different duties, you have to go somewhere, you will not listen to me. I don't want to finish because I'm on a run. I feel the flow, so I want to complete the whole presentation, because even though you can't participate now, you can watch the recording later and it's still going to be useful for you. So, community perspective. There are different perspectives if it comes to the workflows. But what I mean perspectives, let's maybe show you, and it's from the let's show it to you from the documentation point of view. Because when we're talking about documenting CI/CD for contributors, like having this community documentation, I need to explain to you like what's the ultimate goal, like what's the ultimate vision for the docs. If you didn't see this pull request from that Ale is pushing about the new information architecture, then I definitely encourage you to have a look. But yeah, let's use it as a starting point for what I want to explain to you. So the once this pull request is merged, you will be able to go to asyncapi.com/docs, and you will have some landing page and then the left navigation. And something similar I want to have for community. Of course, there's nothing yet. But the idea is so far in my head, maybe it just doesn't make sense, so let me know. But the idea is that you, of course, you have left navigation with all the content, but you don't get these cards that explain what the concept section is about, what the tools section is about, etc., etc. But you rather get a perspectives, like I call it now perspectives. So basically, what I mean by perspectives, or we can also say personas. So basically, when you go to documentation, especially for the community, you can have a need for documentation that is clearly related to maintainers. So a pretty fixed group of people. So You can have a navigation with hundreds of documents, but like if you know that you went to docs just because you want to learn everything that maintainer should know, then it would be wouldn't it be nice that you just click maintainers button and then you see only documents for maintainers? At least that's how I see it. That's the concept of perspectives, that you want to learn about CI/CD as a maintainer. So you don't have to, for example, learn about the workflow that actually, okay, it's a bad example. As a maintainer, you probably want to learn everything, but let's say user. So basically, async API user, not a contributor, not someone that is creating pull requests, not someone that is creating issues, not someone that is maintaining pull requests, but it's just a user. You could say, like, why would user need to know anything about CI/CD? Then there is one thing that user would be interested with. The user would be interested with the fact how our releases work, that we have dedicated automated pipelines for releases and also for bumping. So they know that if they are using some package, they don't really have to ask anyone in Slack or anywhere, like, hey, you released parser, when do you plan to update it in the generator? Because there's a documentation that says, like, no, you don't have to ask us, like, generator will be updated automatically. Or PR contributor, someone that is just focusing on code contributions, aspires for being a maintainer, but not necessarily. Then PR contributor should have only should only have documentation related to pull request quality, pull request merging. This person doesn't even need to know about automated bots releases, bots merging. So basically, you see that, like, depending on your persona, depending on your perspective, you need different documentation. So far, I'm thinking that I think it should be possible. Correct me if I'm wrong, but so far I see it this way, that we have markdown file that describes workflow A, and there is a metadata in the front matter that is called perspective or persona, and we say, okay, this markdown document about auto updates is important only for this and that persona. And then we can, on the backend side in the website, yeah, we can figure that out. So basically, we can have alternative versions of this view. So we can have slash, not docs, but slash community, and then let's say slash persona slash user, or slash persona slash maintainer, and you go to these links because you click on this, yeah, elements, like, and then you have this navigation, um, um, like different navigation, basically, let's say shrinked or focused only on this persona. Yeah, that's it if it comes to the personas vision. Now, this whole topic of contributing, like, where do we look for help in contributing, because it's a live stream about, let's talk about contributing. So so yeah, first of all, I I showed you now this vision. I didn't even go much into details, but yeah, like, you can summarize the vision in the way, like, the ultimate vision is contributor community documentation ends up in the website under slash community. That's the ultimate goal, but it's not there yet. But it doesn't block you from contributing, because actually, it's much easier to work on the UI when there's a content ready than the other way around. So definitely, um, The critical here is the content, not the UI where we show it. Because even though we don't have a UI, we still need the content first. So all the things that I was talking about now, everything is important for the community to understand, to know. Yeah, like you tell me if you're watching or the recording or you participated now, I bet that you learned something. That you learned something not just as nice to know, but also something that is useful for you as a contributor. And basically everything, all of this should be written down and structured properly, so it's easy to access. But again, like we don't need UI to document things. Like generator, we have a lot of documents for generator. We don't have any UI for this documentation yet, but at least we have something. And the same should be here. Like we at least need something, and all of this should be documented in .github repo. And then if at some point of time we, let's say we want to add these personas later, or we want to explore personas now, it's much easier to just remove them from the files than doing this synchronous approach with like, yeah, let's do UI and docs at the same time. So yeah, the core stuff is, there's a lot, as you can see, a lot of documents have to be created about the topic in .github repo. Now we also need a more detailed guides for two workflows. So the release workflows. So when I think I already told you, like, so the release workflow, it's responsible for automated releases depending on the what's the spec, conventional commit specification and the semantic release package. So yeah, you can imagine that like not everything is designed inside the workflow. Some things have to be done in the project also. Some node package JSON scripts have to be added. Some packages have to be installed to make sure that the workflow works. Oh, excuse me. Luckily, it's empty. So we need two guides to documents, like again for the maintainer, that explain how as a maintainer you can get automated releases, like what you have to do in your project to get it working. And you can see it's active links. So the moment when we created these workflows 2 years ago, yeah, it was March, so it's already over 2 years ago. I wrote articles about it. About doing it for Node.js, and I also wrote an article about it for doing it for non-JS projects, and because it's also possible. We have like spec is released with conventional commits. So definitely, if you want to write some more sophisticated document, a guide for contributors, then we need to transform the blog into documents. And of course, blogs are 2 years old, so they definitely need some adjustments and check with the reality. Biggest and so this last topic, like remove not needed workflow files from repos. That's something that is a lot of work, but it's the cool stuff is that it's a lot of work in something like 50 repositories. So, and if it's 50 repositories, it means 50 pull requests. So definitely not one person. I think this contribution is super useful for people that did not yet open a pull request in the project in the past. You want to have some super easy task to do, but just to fill the pull request flow and get something merged. So what I mean by this removal is basically that the global replicator, uh, sorry, the global replicator that I talked to you about, that's something new actually. The way it's configured now, I think we changed it month ago. Yeah, not even month ago. So before we didn't have this sophisticated filtering, let's say. So we couldn't say that Node.js workflows should go only to repositories with Node.js topic, or we couldn't say that Go workflows should only go to repos with Golang. And as a result, what we have, unfortunately, is that, for example, in the generator repo, we have workflows that occupy CI, even though they're like pointless to have them in this repo. So definitely, it doesn't make sense on a pull request in Node.js project to even trigger this workflow. It will not, even now it's not really running, but it's still occupying CI because it has to it has to start to figure out it shouldn't. That's how it works. So for example, like from this repo, this should be removed. And I know this because, again, and I know this because in in this step, Go workflows, I know that this file should only go to repo with Golang topic. And I see that in generator, there is no topic called Golang, which means that this file that is here should be removed. And it's, even though for you, for someone, it might sound like a project, like a file that it's just one file that you remove. How useful it is, believe me, it is crazy useful. It's like amazingly useful, because we have 50 projects. So every improvement in CI, like removal of not needed workflow, um, which means occupying the CI CI machines. That's a huge improvement in the project. Um, and yeah, but we don't have issues for it yet. Yeah, I mean, issues are not needed, but of course, someday we should. I mean, if you want to contribute, like it's not needed, but um, if you want to contribute it, that would be awesome. Now, coding. There's some coding possible. Yeah, this community view. So if you want to do some coding that you will later on be able to show others that this view is something that you did, and then definitely um, feel free to connect. And this is, that's a hardcore, like that's I consider this uh, as a hardcore, but yeah, let's mention it. So again, like as you notice, this naming here, naming of the files and naming of the workflows inside, it's it's super inconsistent. There's no standard. It's pretty hard to see anything here. Later you can see that we started adding some prefixes, so it's easier to find like links. But the rest, like auto merging, we started like naming it consistently so the files are next to each other. But yeah, we started doing it over time, so there's a lot of um, like these categories that I mentioned. It's not visible in the file, so it's pretty hard to navigate. But it's hardcore task to contribute, and that's why. And it's again if it works, why would you touch it? But if you want, if you like hardcore tasks, then please suggest the naming. Let's do the change. Just be aware that it's not so simple as just renaming files, because the global replicator workflow that we're using, I'm maintaining it outside AsyncAPI organization. It doesn't support. It won't pick up the rename. So it basically works in a way that if you rename the file, it will understand that there's a new file. So instead of renaming it in the generator repo, for example, if you change it in the GitHub repo, it will not rename it. It will just duplicate it. So first, we need to improve the workflow action to get there. But yeah, as I said, only for hardcores. And yeah, and last but not least, something not mentioned here, but I already told you about this welcome message. Like if there's someone watching this recording and read it and read the welcome message, then we should definitely have their small contribution of the bot message in this welcome workflow. And that's it. And as you can see, even though on my first slide we see this mascot, then we're thanking this mascots, old mascots. You might probably see Missy recently showing these ones. In the chat, there's a question. The project will be selected on the projects will be selected on 10th of June for mentorship program. You're not asking about what I was showing, right? You're asking about the mentorship program itself. I guess. So yeah, let me answer to you. Basically, the mentorship program timeline it's actually sooner than. Oh wait, is it here? Yeah. So the mentees had time until the 15th of May to discuss the ideas and say that you want to be a mentee for a given idea. And now until 22nd, which is next Monday, no, it's Sunday, I'm preparing a list of all the ideas, because there was one idea that had no candidates and there was one idea that actually development started for it, which basically means we have 19 ideas. Let me show you the list. I'm preparing a list so it's much easier for TSC for voting. Let me show you the markdown preview. So I was basically combining all the ideas in one table with some highlights. I think Kuda is on holiday, so I will write something for Kuda and I will ask Jonas to speed up. And basically what happens now is that on Monday next week, I will write a separate discussion where I will put this table and explain to our technical steering committee how the voting should look like, how they should leave their votes. Where is this table? Yeah, how they should leave their votes, and then they will have, because you can imagine there are 19 issues, so to vote properly, they need time to do the voting. So they have 2 weeks to vote and choose 10 out of 9. So basically select 6 projects that will be financially supported by AsyncAPI. But if you still want to do the idea, even though it's not selected, you still want to have official mentorship from mentors, And then it's a matter of discussion with a mentor, but I think many of them will agree that even though it's not sponsored project, so basically the work that you're doing, you're not gonna get any money for it. But we can always agree, especially that we're setting up a pretty sophisticated Swag shop now. We can figure out some Swag packages, at least for people that work on ideas that were not selected for the mentorship program. But anyway, it's announced on 6th of June. That's the plan. So not 10th of June, but 6th of June is the plan to announce it, and then kick off, right? So and then it's all up to mentees, up to mentors. They decide who should work, who should be a mentee for a given idea that they mentor, and the work starts. And it's again like all between you and mentors to figure out how much time you have and how it should run. I hope that answers your question. Okay, there was a lot of talking, a lot of talking. Oh no, actually, there's one more thing that I have to show you. I forgot about it. So, like, you should ask a question, and that's a question that contributor will ask, or maintainer. Like, okay, so from your documentation, I learned that there are this and that workflow. Now, the question is, um, how can I get these workflows in my repository? How does it work? And the answer is you should definitely not try to just copy the files and put them in your repo. So there should be a document describing for the community the process that if you have a new project and you want to have CI/CD set up for your project, let me show you the screen. So you basically have to go to one of the maintainers because only maintainers can manually trigger the workflows. And what me and or Kuda will do, we will go to actions in .github repo. We will go to global workflow to rule them all. And we will click on run workflow. And we will put the name of the new workflow, the new repository that doesn't have any workflow yet, and we will push it directly to this project. So you don't really have to because in the past people were just copying these files, but it doesn't make sense. It's just better to kick it out from here. So yeah, I think that's the last thing. Any questions from your side? Any feedback? Like, was it too much? I think it definitely was too much. But again, remember, it was like a typical tech writing interview with a subject matter expert SME. So I just shared everything I knew. Now it's a matter of putting it into the docs. Um, or even helping to create issues. Yeah, anyone out there still with me? Hello, hello. Just write in comment. I see that there are some people still watching, or it's just Eve and Chan bots. Yellow. Let me check who's watching on YouTube. Ah, thanks, Ovik. Hello, Naman. Sovik, you watched from the beginning, right? I hate this delay where I know I'm speaking, asking question, and then I'm quiet, waiting for the answer a few seconds, or actually 15 seconds or 20 seconds. Yeah, that sucks. But I mean, not that it sucks that you were here from the beginning. It sucks that I have to wait so many seconds for the answer. It's actually not that I have to wait for you. It's basically you have to learn. You have to wait for me. Awesome. Good to know. Um, that's what I wanted to see. That's what I wanted to see. Let's. How can I? There was a way in the past to highlight the chat. Where is it? Yes, this is not this one. I mean, thanks for the smile, but I wanted to show this to others. Yes. Glad to hear. Um, no worries, Naman. Like that's the whole idea of these live streams. Like, some people can join, some not. And it's completely fine if you just watch the recording. It was basically anyway me ranting about CI/CD. If you couldn't ask questions now, then yeah, just drop them in Slack, and I answer for sure. Maybe not tomorrow and next and this weekend, because I'm gonna be relaxing a bit. I'm going to the wedding, so gonna do a lot of dancing. But then on Monday, definitely I can help out. We can even do a call if you want. So basically, I was always like pushing, like, let's do a live stream. Let's do a live stream. If somebody wants to have help, let's do a call, group call. But more and more, I see that probably folks you've heard about this imposter syndrome, and the one of the shitty thing about imposter syndrome is that you also don't like to be visible in public. You don't want to speak in public because imposter syndrome just blocks you basically, because you're always scared to say something in public that it will be there forever, and the whole humanity will watch your mistakes. So basically, I'm changing my mind a bit. Like, if you really need to have a call and you don't want to have it public, then just, yeah, ping me. I'm gonna always try to find something in my calendar, and we can have a private call. That's completely fine, as long as it will help you out. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And yes, definitely, I plan to enjoy the wedding, especially that my kids will be out, because it's a wedding only for adults. So my kids go to my mother-in-law tomorrow. So this weekend it's gonna be neat. Anyway, was awesome having this live stream. Good to be back with the live streaming. And yeah, if you're on our Slack, we have this how to contribute channel. So if you'd like to have more sessions about some specific topic, just feel free to suggest something. And yeah, enjoy the evening and also have a good weekend. Oh, cool. Thanks for the feedback. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, I have to take my dog out. It's 6:30 here, by the way, in Poland. 6:30, of course, p.m. Yeah. Enough. Arrivederci. Na razie. Trzymajcie się. Miłego.